Well, I got 5 plugs in there. I got one in there. That one's holding. That one's still got a bit of a leak, but that's not my problem. Look at these bulges here when I put some air in the tire. One there and another massive one there. So this tire is RS. Well, we're heading south at the moment towards Albany. We are going to catch up with a YouTube subscriber that reached out to us, which is pretty awesome. Our 2 days at the Stirling Ranges was a bust. We had that flat tire that I showed you guys, and we just weren't game to do any traveling on it. So we holed up at our accommodation for a couple of days. I knocked over a whole bunch of video editing. Jill knocked over a whole bunch of Facebook posts, and we got, I wouldn't say we got caught up, but we got some knocked over anyway. Off to Albany, catch up with Andrew and his missus, and then from there we'll start to head north towards Perth. We got a date with the tire shop in about 4 days' time. Well, unfortunately, this is as close as we're going to get to Bluff Knoll and to the Stirling Ranges. A few things have conspired against us. When we pulled in, it was raining, and it rained for that day and the following day, so we couldn't get up there. And today, it is still obscured by cloud at the very top of Bluff Knoll, but also our tires have conspired against us. We're making our way back to Perth so that we can get those tires changed out. So we're going to have to put the Stirling Ranges onto our bucket list for another trip down to the southwest corner. Basically from the Fitzgerald River west to the coast and up north to Perth. That corner we got to come back and do properly. Bye-bye Stirling Ranges. We pulled up at dusk last night at a little unnamed conservation area and set up here. No fires, it pissed down rain the whole night. We're on our way to Perth, of course, to get the tires replaced. It is Easter weekend, so for those individuals that just have this Easter long weekend off, I feel for you, man. With this foul weather the way that it is, that's a bummer. But check this out. When we pulled up at dusk last night, my spidey senses must have been tingling because I found myself an old car. I think it's an XP Falcon by the looks of it, by the looks of the rear guards and the shape of the rear guards. I can't find any badging on it. Up here in the front guard, that looks like a Ford belongs there to me. The grille is actually reminiscent of a GM product though. And here's the donk out of it. I don't know what the old Holdens had, but the Chev Blue Flame 6 had a side cover on the side of the block. But I'm sure there's a shit ton of viewers out there that do know exactly what this is. Regardless, she's pretty cool. You know, look at the underside of that door. There's no cancer or rot in that. That is in really good nick. Both front guards are in great nick. Both rear outer guards look good. The inner guards are shot. There's some decent panels on this car for somebody that wanted to do a cut. There's the instrument cluster. Very cool. I like finding old shit like this. Okay, time to pack that sucker up, and fingers crossed we can find a place where it's not raining. Well, we've left our little Desperation Conservation Park camp. It rained the entire night last night. We're pulling into a town called Nambung, and we're still heading towards Perth to get the tires done. We've got a couple of days to get there, so we don't really have any specific destination other than heading in that general direction. Waiting for some clouds to break and get a little bit of sunshine, but I don't like our chances, to be honest. It looks like Nambung is still asleep, and it's 9 o'clock in the morning.
Birds are up. I can hear gallows, I think. Bush camping in the dampness, but we are dry. Our tent not so dry. It really copped it this morning. I'm going to go up top and open it out. I'm just having a look at the color of the trees. It's very pretty. There's obviously been a fire through here quite recently. Seeing a few little green sprouts, and a really huge kangaroo went to hop by and then went, "Oh my God, who are you?" And then turned around and went the other direction. And we haven't seen any since.
So Jill and I are camped out in the middle of a conservation park at the moment. Andrew, a subscriber to Jafffa Adventures, who we visited all of 24 hours ago, gave us this bottle of wine. And that's how long this bottle of wine is going to last. 24 hours. It's quite cool at the moment, so Jill and I are going to pop the cork on this, so to speak, and we're going to have ourselves a lovely bottle of wine with dinner. So thank you very much, Andrew. We really do appreciate it.
Cheers.
Ooh, lovely.
Well, let's let it air.
Let's let it air, absolutely. And pour it in our steel cups.
Unfortunately, yes. Just come out of our 2-night bush camp, and it's all surrounded by sheep farms. Very pretty.
A lot has happened since we last did a little bit of a update. We've been to Perth, caught up with an old mate that we knew from 25 or 30 years ago. That was pretty cool. We did a whole bunch of errands that needed to be done while we were there, and we are back on the road. We tried some free camping around the Moore River. Very unfriendly signs everywhere. Keep out, no trespassing, blah, blah, blah. So we just found a bush camp not too far from the Moore River. And now this morning we're heading to Lancelin. Gonna have a look at the Lancelin Dunes and that beach there. Well, this is the Lancelin Sand Dunes. And one thing that we've noticed straight away is it's pretty bloody popular. There's 4-wheel drives and quads and all sorts of stuff. You can hire these off-road vehicles like quads and buggies and shit like that. But we're just going to go for a drive, obviously, along and have a look-see.
I don't know how old you have to be to rent them, but there's a lot of youngish kids who look excited.
Yeah, there was. They were running over to the shit hut where you rent them.
The Hill of Shame.
No Hill of Shame. There is no Hill of Shame.
It's not even very big.
Well, we're out here at the Lancelin Sand Dunes at the moment. That's just a small dune field, and it is packed with people. We are only a day or two past the Easter weekends, so no doubt there's a hangover crowd from that. This isn't a bad little area to test your sand dune driving. It's a reasonably safe environment. There are recovery signs everywhere, so if you get bogged and you can't get yourself out, there's lots of phone numbers around here where I'm sure if you pay a packet, you'll be able to get yourself out of trouble. We've just come from Perth, and one thing that I've done is I've replaced the tires. I had the BF KM3s on there. The first half of their life, the wear was fantastic. We did the Cape, we did the Old Coach Road, did the Simpson Desert in them. I was really pleased with them. The second half of the wear, terrible. I chewed the sidewalls out to bits on the Overland Telegraph line, and then the blocks started to wear really, really unevenly. So I gave them a flick. The boys at Tire Power in Bayswater recommended the Toyo Muddies, so that's what I've got. I've gone one step larger as well. My BFs were 285 7017s. These are 295 7017s. So they're a little bit taller and marginally wider, of course. The other thing I did was I had them replace the CVs. When I was on full lock, I was getting a very, very mild click out of one side. Again, I wasn't prepared to take the chance when we get into the really remote areas. Bayswater Tire Power was only a couple of kilometers down the road from Toyota dealer, so I said grab 2 genuine Toyota CVs and whack them in the car as well when you got them up on the hoist. And they've done that. Beautiful. Clicking, gone. Also got a front end alignment done on it and a balance, of course. She's running like a clock now, so we're going to go out and explore a little bit more of this dune field.
I was wondering if he was going to go down there.
Entered a little area called Wedge Island, which just looks like a bunch of beach shacks scattered in and amongst the dunes. And we're going to attempt to do the coast run between Wedge Island and Grey. I don't know anything about it other than there's a track on a map.
This is called the Wedge Shack area. It's full of asbestos shacks.
There was an asbestos warning sign on the road before we come in.
Asbestos area alert.
Very interesting. I'm sure there's a story behind this little place, but it'd be neat to know what it is.
If you just showed up and put up a shack and you had it ever since, or what? There's satellite dishes and antennas and all sorts of things.
Even the mental awareness blue tree is here. That's got a sign. Are you okay?
There is a lot of shacks.
There is a lot. Hundreds. Well, we're at that little inlet or hamlet called Wedge Island. There is the actual Wedge Island across the way there. And our intention was to run from Wedge Island up to Grey. Unfortunately, the tides are against us. We haven't done any pre-planning, so we've just rocked up here. And it's pretty close to high tide and the waves are right up to the bank. So we're euchred there, unfortunately. I think they call this the Turquoise Coast. And I'm going to hazard a guess. I know why.
We've just stopped and had some lunch. And there's the Asbestos Beach Shack community. It's really big. You can only see a few here.
And that is the tide coming in. Look at it go. All right, I'll walk back up to the truck and we'll have to work out a plan B. Not a bad spot for lunch though. Well, this is the reason that we can't do the Wedge Island to Grey run. We're sitting right on high tide and these waves are coming right up to the cliffs. So it looks like it would have been an awesome run, but we're backing up.
Yeah.
It's the strangest little community, that's for sure.
Very interesting. There'd be some people here with some big stories to tell.
There sure would. There might even be some viewers watching this that could fill us in on the story behind this little community.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I'd love to know. Well, Plan B sees us on the bitumen all the way to the Pinnacles Desert in Nambung National Park. And amazingly, it's all bitumen back here, and there's actually a little pay hut. Last time we were here was 30 years ago, and you just drove straight in on a dirt road. We have a National Parks Pass, an All Parks Pass. My expectation is that we should be able to get in with it, but we'll see next. Hello!
We have Jaffas in New Zealand.
Oh, yes, of course you do.
Jaffas, we call them as just another friendly face from Auckland.
Right, okay. Well, we're just a few friends fooling around.
Oh, right. Fair enough.
And here's the start of the Pinnacles Drive. I thought it might have been bitumen, but it's still dirt. That's cool. Jill and I were just saying the last time we were here, they had little pullover bays. Hopefully they're still there.
It's so cool.
And here we are, and they still do have the little rocks that follow along, and they got little pullover spots. Jill and I are wandering through the Pinnacles Desert on a horse with no name.
Now I'm going to find the standing stone that will let me through. Like Outlander.
Okay. These are cool. Look at the size of this sucker compared to me. It's awesome. The sun's now coming out from behind the clouds. These things are super cool. They really are. It's a big tourist attraction, but it's so worth it. Interpretive Center, and they try to explain how these things were formed, and they can't. There's lots of theories, but nobody actually knows. That's cool, right in front of us. These guys here are in sun, those guys there are in shadow.
We're on the North Spur. It's sort of a one-way in, one-way out track.
leaving Nambung National Park in the Pinnacles Desert. The drive around here was just as neat as I remembered it. What I didn't remember was how big these suckers were. I thought they were a lot smaller than they are, but they're some monsters. We are still during the Easter school holiday period, so Jill reckons that national parks are out, and I think she's probably on the money there. So
For camping.
For camping, yeah. So we're going to have to find ourselves a state forest somewhere. We've identified a couple of candidates. We'll just see whether they're going to work out or not. About 30 kilometers away.
There's some big ones coming up.
Yeah, like that pinnacle there on the left. It is taller than the truck.
Oh, wait.
We've got this wonderful little free camp beside a river, and it is very difficult to find. But I'll show you how we found this sucker, and that'll give you an idea of the methodology that we use to find these little hidden spots. So here's our little secret from a mapping perspective on how we find our secret camps. First of all, we've got HEMA. HEMA is really good to get a broad overview. So you've got your major centers and you got your major roads. So Jill and I were at Nambung National Park, and it was getting late in the day, so we needed to find a camp. So we got in this overview map, and we saw there's a couple of conservation parks here, and there's a little river. Maybe there's some camping there. Now HEMA doesn't get down into the detail that we need. So we then jump into our Explore Oz Traveler. This program is really good for detailed tracks, but it's crap for overall planning, because the detailed tracks and the main roads, they look almost the same. So we then zoom in on this Hill River Nature Reserve, and we can see here there's a river running through it. We're in a nature reserve, and there's a main road running past it. So that's a high probability of a good camp. But that's all we can see. There's no tracks there. We then jump into our Australia Topo Maps, which is a satellite program. Here's that same bridge, and if we zoom in, we can see this little track here, and we can see it goes to this little cleared area here. So that is how we identified this secret little camp. We followed this track back in here, and we're back here. This Explore Oz Topo is brilliant for that sort of stuff, and it does allow you to get satellites offline. And that is super, super important for when you're doing this outback stuff. One word of caution, however, it's only available for Android. If you're an Apple device user, you can't use this Australia Topo. So that's our secret to finding secret camps. You're welcome. Now we're just leaving that little secret camp area that Jill and I found. We're going around that loop that you could see on the satellite. And as you can see, there's a lot of nice little cleared areas in here. The other advantage with the satellite mapping is if you tow, which we don't, but if I was towing, I would be worried whether I could get turned around or not. So that is useful from that perspective. It won't tell you how rough the track is going in or out, but it will tell you whether you need to back out or whether you can actually get your trailer turned around.
You have to be willing to go through this scrapey stuff often, though.
100%. You got to be willing to commit to this sort of stuff. If this is not your jive, then these out-of-the-way campsites will definitely be harder to find. All right, there's the main road in front of us with a bridge. I suppose you could be a troll and camp under the bridge if you wanted.
That would be really noisy.
It would. It was a
busy road overnight. Clear left.
Righto.
That's this way. For all of you people who know Terry doesn't know his left from his right.
We're on Cockleshell Gully Road, and we are heading to a national park called Lesueur National Park. And it has a little loop track of about, I think you said it was 18K, was it, huh?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's about an 18K scenic loop drive. And we're going to drive that drive and check it out. And here is our scenic drive. And yes, it is 18 kilometers. Fee station ahead, 2 kilometers.
We have our parks pass.
We do. I think that the best time you'd want to hit this place would be in the springtime when everything's in flower. Probably be going off its chops.
There's even a warning at the toilets where you wash your hands at the sink saying beware of the bees.
Lots of bees making hives and flowers.
Chasing water.
This is a really pretty Banksia.
I love these Banksias. I love the color. Super pretty. there are macrozamias throughout Lesueur National Park as well. Beautiful.
This guy here is called the fan-leafed hakea, and I read in one of the park information signs that West Australia has the largest concentration of hakea in the world, and this particular park has the largest concentration of hakea in WA, so that's cool. We've even got a resident march fly. Not sure whether the camera is going to pick this up or not, but it's a sea of grass trees out here. They're just little guys, but they're everywhere.
The sky is pretty.
It is. It's beautiful. Stockyard Gully Reserve. Cave walk open. Well, there you go. So, 5 kilometers to get to the caves on a 4-wheel drive track. That's cool. We're not too far out of Lesueur National Park, only about 15 kilometers or so. So we decided to check out this Stockyard Gully Caves.
When we spotted the sign.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you, WA, for putting a sign up. Still on the access track into Stockyard Gully and going through this little sea of banksias, which is really neat. They're such an unusual flower. Oh, goody bumpy rocks. Cool, cool. Well, we didn't even know this existed. We were just driving along. We saw a sign that said tunnel, and we're like, yeah, let's go check it out. Yeah. So from here, not sure, but we're heading north as well.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Set up anyway.
Yeah, we're prepared for the bush bashing. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that rhino hide, at least it'll save your pedals.
It's good shit, mate. It
It's
has done a lot.
It's worth it.
Rhino.
All right,
Okay.
enjoy your day.
Yeah, you too.
Take
See
care.
ya.
Bye-bye.
That's pretty self-explanatory. This is pretty down here. It's a nice sandy little riverbed. Apparently the drovers used to pull up in here and water the cattle and have a nice cool place to hole up. The temperature did drop by 10 degrees. Holy cow. There's our cave. Neat. And cool all in one. Well, look at the beehive on the wall, hun.
That's really cool.
I believe the size of that cliff wall with Jill as perspective. And again, there's another beehive behind her. Here comes Jill into the entrance of the cave. And it's another 10 degrees cooler in here. It is. Head torch mode activated. Boy, it is pitch black here, isn't it? That's the entrance that we just came in. This is amazing, hon.
The breeze coming through behind me is crazy.
It is.
Looks like evil red eyes on that bit sticking down the reflectors on this side.
Yeah.
That is a high ceiling.
Jill and I have both been to Tunnel Creek, and you know what? I actually rate this better than Tunnel Creek because it's longer and darker, and no crocodiles. There's 3 active beehives, all within a stone's throw from one another. And then there's 3 more active ones over there.
Terry's going up near this giant beehive. Are they Australian honeybees or the European?
Apis mellifera, Europeans. That is a solid wall of bees. Very, very, very cool. That Stockyard Tunnel was bloody amazing. I'd highly recommend going back to that.
Yeah, that was neat.
It was very, very cool. Okay, we're heading north on the Stockyard Gully track to a place called Lake Indoon for lunch. It's about 10 kilometers away from where we are at the moment as the crow flies. Well, the northern end of this track from the tunnel north is a lot crappier than the southern end, but we're nearly out. Just a bit chewed up, and there's a lot of rocks and like limestone gibbers buried in the sand. Speaking of limestone gibbers, hello. If you've got yourself an automatic and you do four-wheel driving, don't use drive. Don't let the computer decide what gear it's going to be in. You make the choice by shifting. It's a lot easier on the car. We're in this Lake Indoon camping area, and there's certainly plenty of camping in here. Lovely little spots everywhere. It was $5 a night, and there was an honor system. I'd actually give this one a crack, and we're averse to people.